Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. In this video, I'm going to go over how I made the flamethrower that you can see on my left gauntlet. The original design comes from Boba Fett's gauntlet that you can see in episode 6. I decided to change it up and add a few extra detail pieces, but all in all the shape is still the same. I will upload the free template for this project in the next week or two, but for those of you who don't know, I already have most of the armor templates up for the Mandalorian suit that I'm making right now. All I have left to do is the leg armor, the helmet, the cod armor, and of course the jetpack. But everything else has been covered so far, so go check out those templates if you would like to make your own. The link is in the description to the RPF website where you can find the download links. Just like the rest of the suit, I'm going to be using a mix of 2mm and 6mm thick EVA foam, and this can be acquired quite easily from your local craft store or from Amazon. So before we get on to the flamethrower, I wanted to show you real quick these little strap attachments that I made to the inside part of the gauntlet. They don't offer any support or anything, they're just purely there for the looks, but I think it helps to cover up that seam line on the underside of the gauntlet a little bit better, and it helps to make the underside of the gauntlet a little less plain. Most of the detail pieces are on the back side of the gauntlet anyway, so this part needed a little bit more. Quite simply, these are just 2mm strips of foam that I cut out as you can see here, and just super glued them onto the back of the gauntlet. If you wanted, you could add some extra strapping to the top of the foam to give it a little bit more detail. I plan to do this after I paint it, but I didn't want to get paint on the straps, so I'll put them on later. Once again, these straps are just extra pieces. You don't have to put them on, I just thought they would look really good on top of the foam. Now we can get on to the flamethrower portion of the video, and like always, you'll need to print out the template and cut it out with scissors or a knife. Your template might look a little bit different than this one, but that's just because this is the prototype version that I'm using, and yours will be the finished version, but they'll do the same thing. Now for this base template here, you're going to need to draw this onto the foam 3 times if you are using 6mm foam, like I am here, but if you are using a different thickness of foam, like 10mm, then you may not need to cut this out 3 times, because 2 might be enough for you, or maybe even 1 if you have thick enough foam. But I would recommend personally using 6mm thick foam, and you'll see why in a little bit. It's mostly because there's a groove on the front of the flamethrower where you put the nozzle and stuff, and in order to get that hole in there, you kind of need a middle section that's hollow, and that could be more difficult to accomplish if you're only using 2 halves. And as I said before, you'll want to make sure that one of these 3 pieces is hollow on the tip section, and that's where we're going to put the nozzle for the flamethrower later on. This can be a little tricky to glue together, so you'll probably want to use some super glue along those thin edges just to make sure that it goes down securely. I decided to try using hot glue in this situation. I just wanted to see if it would work, and it didn't really work as well as I thought it would. The hot glue kind of left a little bit of a gap between the 2 pieces of foam, so I'd recommend using contact cement for this section and not do what I did. But all in all, it's not that bad, and you could use this method if that's all you had. Now I've just gone and added some 2mm thick foam to the outside to add a little bit more depth. I did skip over this section just because it's kind of simple, and it's just adding detail pieces to the base, so you can really make it look however you want. All I did was take some 2mm thick foam and cut it out in the shapes that I wanted it to be in, and then I just simply super glued them down to the flamethrower base. So once you've got that base flamethrower all finished, and we're just adding on the detail pieces. Another neat little trick that you can do to make it look more realistic is you can add some little rivet details by taking the tip of a hot glue gun, like you see here, and just kind of pushing it in at the corners to make it look like rivets or screws. Now, I would like to point out that the hot glue gun is cold at this point. It is not turned on, so it's not going to burn the foam. It's just going to imprint a little circle in it. Now we have to figure out how to attach the flamethrower to the gauntlet itself. And what you'll want to do is mark down with a Sharpie or something onto the foam where exactly you're going to put this flamethrower, because you kind of need to know where to put the glue down first. And once you kind of have it marked out exactly where you're going to put everything, you'll want to attach some little legs or spacers underneath the flamethrower to make it stick out from the gauntlet just a little bit. You don't want it to be just straight up flat attached to the gauntlet. It won't really stick very well that way, so you need to have something in between. And another thing that you'll need to be careful about is gluing it on backwards or upside down. As you can see, I am actually putting them on the wrong side, but that's okay. This just adds a bit more detail to that one side. I just fixed it by adding the same thing to the other side, so it's not a big deal in the end. And to attach this flamethrower to the gauntlet, I decided to use contact cement because I wanted the strongest connection possible, and hot glue or super glue just aren't going to be strong enough to hold something this big, and it is kind of heavy, so I needed contact cement for this job. After the contact cement has dried on both surfaces, I decided to add some hot glue in the middle just to make it a bit more sturdy, and then I just stuck the two pieces together, making sure to line them up exactly where I marked it down. And now the flamethrower is pretty much finished. If you wanted to, you could add some little wires hanging out of the back, but I decided not to for this one. And there's lots of extra details that you could add as well, like a comm pad or some other buttons that you might want to put on your gauntlet. But for now, this is just the flamethrower that I had, and this is going to go on the left gauntlet once again. There is a different shaped attachment that goes on the right gauntlet, which I will make also, but that's for another video, so I'll get to that another day. And like I was just showing, you can get creative with how you decide to do the nozzle on the front of the flamethrower. There's lots of different things you could use, but that's just one idea. So this is what the gauntlet looks like so far. Thank you guys for watching, and once again, the template will be available pretty soon. Just check that link in the description and you'll see it eventually. I would like to say a special thank you to my Patreons for supporting me and for giving me a little bit extra money. I really appreciate it, and it helps me to buy materials and tools for these builds. So thank you very much, and I'm glad to be able to give these templates away for free. So if you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys!